Messages, bulk scan, and attach. A key feature in Prognosis is the ability to attach documents that have been scanned to a patient's chart inside Prognosis. This process can be done individually or directly, as covered in the separate Direct Scan and Attach video, or indirectly, which is the subject of this video. In regards to the indirect process, the scanning occurs first external to Prognosis, and there is an automated process that moves the documents or images into a folder from where they can be categorized and applied to the patient's chart based on the document type. The nature of this process allows multiple users to scan locally or to a shared network drive where the document needs to be a part of the patient's chart, but immediate access is not required. This works well for medical records and requests of that nature. The documents can accumulate until attached. For the indirect bulk scan option, any standard Twain compatible scanner can be used. Please follow your local workflow based on the specific device used in your office, as these are defined and set up by your local IT and are completely independent of Prognosis. The only requirement is that wherever the scanner physically saves the image when the scan is complete must be accessible to Prognosis. In order for the documents to be accessible, a file transfer utility known as BizUpload must be installed and running in the background of at least one of the workstations. An automated task will be scheduled to run every 5 to 10 minutes based on the local volume and preference. Though it's recommended to be installed on a server or on a dedicated PC, it's not mandated. Once installed, BizUpload can be configured to read the scans from the local drive or a shared network location, wherever the local scanner saves the image. In turn, all scans can be routed to a common folder in Prognosis or individual folders based on the needs of the practice and the document types. In addition to the folders where the documents are saved, there are a few other properties that manage the behavior of the attached center that need to be set by the system administrator. Prognosis Attach File List Sort lets you set the display by name or date ascending or descending. The name of the file is set by your scanner, not by Prognosis. Prognosis Attach Max Size KB determines the maximum file size of each document. Please note that the multi-page documents are considered as one file, and when the graphics are included, the size may be larger. Prognosis Attach File Types determines the file extensions of the permissible documents. Prognosis Attach Default Receiver lets you set which document types will automatically send a message via supported event alert when an attachment is applied. If no messages are automatically generated, you can still manually alert a user when attaching the document. Any user with standard permissions to the Messages Center can attach bulk scans or documents using the Attach Center. I happen to be logged in here as Gabby, who is processing bulk scans that have been accumulating for various users. In the upper left, we have the Select Folder Pick List, which consists of at least 3 standard directories: Scan, Fax, and Move. Additional folders may be created, if necessary, per local needs. You'll see that I have a miscellaneous folder called Attach. For example, in a multi-location facility, each location may manage documents separately from the others. When BizUpload utility is configured, specific documents can be routed to a specific directory. This can be arranged through Bizmatic support team. For our purposes, I'm going to select the Scan folder, which is the default for incoming documents. As you select the folder in the drop-down, the contents will immediately display. Though this directory may store an unlimited number of documents, the temporary browser will only display 50 at a time. As one is attached, the next one in line will display. As is the case with all multi-record screens in Prognosis, the documents display in alternating gray lines with the one currently in focus shaded with a light blue background. On the right-hand side, the selected document will display in the preview mode. Prognosis, by default, is PDF compatible. As discussed in our setup videos, all machines should have Adobe Reader installed in order to view such documents. In addition, documents such as incoming faxes are often stored in a TIFF format. This requires an alternative TIFF viewer in order to be previewed within the Attach Center. Alternative is a free application that can be downloaded from www.alternative.com and embedded into the local Internet Explorer browser. Each individual workstation that needs to display such documents will require the alternative viewer. Once the document is identified, it can be labeled and attached to the appropriate patient's chart. Please note that selecting a document to be attached means that you must select the checkbox to the left of the file name in the Select List pane. It does not necessarily have to be the one you're previewing, which is indicated by the blue color background. It is possible to attach a document to the wrong patient if you are not previewing the one you're attaching. Next, you want to select the patient that you're sending the document to. In the lower left Attach panel, enter the name in the autocomplete text field or click the binocular to search for the patient. After selecting the patient, the attach type is also mandatory. This field shows on the patient's document list and can be filtered when reviewing historical documents. Some values in the drop-down list are used by the system, while the general category Other Documents is typically used at the local level to distinguish manual attachments from system-generated ones. All values are available for manual definition as well. However, you will need to understand the system-required behavior when using one. For example, the lab RAD result requires a corresponding order. When using HL7 interface, the result is automatically associated with the order number. When manually choosing this option, you must manually search for and select an order or let it default to new. Prognosis requires an order when attaching a result. When none exists, the system will create a new phantom one in order to apply the result attachment. Progress Notes requires the corresponding encounter. Letter N applies to incoming faxes and scans that have been received from external parties. Legal Documents links to e-signature documents under Patient Register. Encounter requires the corresponding encounter, and Billing and EOB is reserved for practice management, not used in EMR. Based on the attached type selected, the subsequent field labels will change, as will the underlying master file contents of the binocular searches. For example, the From field. Attach type lab result, RAD result, progress note, etc. The options are medic, meaning ordering provider, or vendor, or other. Whereas you select letter N, the options include patient, insurance, employer, guardian, etc., in addition to provider or vendor. Based on which of those values you select, the binocular search in the name field will invoke the appropriate underlying values. Similarly, the category drop-down options correspond to values from various group types linked to the attached type. There's also an optional subject line that lets you define the additional text description that elaborates or clarifies the attachment. For example, if you are attaching an image that is related to a radiology result, you may decide to attach it as a radiology result, categorize it as an MRI, and then in the subject, indicate the body part or type of MRI, with or without contrast. All of these additional details are at local discretion based on the preference and workflow. Please note, however, that although these fields are not mandatory to attach a document, if they are left blank, it becomes more challenging in locating a specific document at the chart level in the future. All of these fields display on the document list to aid you into identifying attachments after the fact. After defining the attachment, the last step is to decide if you need to send the system alert to anyone regarding the attachment. As mentioned earlier, there is a system property which allows you to define by default which attached types need to automatically generate a message in conjunction with the supported events. In addition, you can manually select a user or multiple users in the Message To field. Finally, click the Attach button at the bottom of the screen. The document will be moved into the patient's chart under the document list. The select list in the upper left will auto-refresh so that the next 50 documents to be attached are available. When the unattached documents become less than 50, this pane will reflect that by auto-shrinking the scroll bar until there are no documents left. Remember, this select list is automatically updated every 5 to 10 minutes per the BizUpload utility to always show the most recently scanned documents. Now let's look at a patient's document list for the added attachments. You can see the corresponding fields from the Attach Center, which make it easier to find the documents that were attached. Here we see the attachment type and category fields that were filled out earlier. You'll notice the description for the radiology results is also included. We also have the View button that will show each individual attachment that was added to this patient's chart. Let's review. In this video, we learned that we could scan documents outside of Prognosis using a Twain-compatible device. The BizUpload utility moves the scanned items into Prognosis and updates the preview list every 5 to 10 minutes. We learned how to specify local preferences when labeling and attaching documents to a patient's chart, and how to send supported event alerts. Finally, we took a look at how the attachments can be viewed in the patient's document list. That concludes this video within the series. Please click the appropriate link below for your next step. If you'd like to take a quiz, you'll receive your results in real time directly on the screen so that you can see how well you've done. If you answer incorrectly, the system will prompt you with the correct response. In addition, a confidential email will be sent to the education team to help us better serve you with our educational offerings. Second, watch the next video within this series that you are currently in. And finally, return to the video library main page. As always, feel free to contact us through the Resource Center or email us with any additional questions or comments.